That game yesterday was frustrating. It was more of the same garbage we've had all year. It was a heartbreaker, and yet oddly encouraging in a few ways. We'll talk about it here. Welcome back to Cardinals Daily. I'm Eddie Law. If you're already part of the squad, I appreciate you for being with us since day one. And if you're new here, smash the sub button. It really helps out the channel. And the more we grow, the better content we can bring you guys every single day. Bird Gang, let's get right to it. We lose 24-27, unfortunately. Sadness, sure, yes. But let's go over the stats real quick. All right, Jacoby Brissett, 33 for 49, 317 yards, and a touchdown. Cool. Michael Carr, the running game was terrible. I ain't even going to go over the individual numbers because they were trash. 20 carries overall, 55 yards overall, one touchdown by Mr. Bam Knight, which is nice to see, but still. On the receiving end, Michael wasn't balled out like he was wide receiver one. 10 catches, 118 yards. No scores, but 10 for 118, really good. Right? McBride, 9 for 79. And Greg Dortch, 653, and a touchdown. A couple other guys caught a ball. Cool, whatever. The defense, did all right. Amazing touchdown to begin. In the first quarter, I believe the first drive it was, or the first quarter of the game. We ended with 63 total tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, 7 pass deflections, and 5 quarterback hits, and that touchdown by Walter Nolan. Perfect play by the rookie. That was awesome. Unfortunately, he went out with a knee injury shortly after, so that sucks. The 3 interceptions that we got came from Budda Baker, Akeem Davis-Gaither, and Garrett Williams, because Trevor Lawrence is as average as it gets. I know they drafted number 1 out of Clemson because, Debo likes to trick people into drafting his players up high. He's not that good. He's not that guy. He's not number 1 pick worthy. Right? If Kyler Murray's not number 1 pick worthy, Trevor Lawrence is slightly more worthy. Let's put it that way. But either way, those are the stats, folks. Let's talk about the game. So, Cardinals drop another heartbreaker, 24-27 in overtime to the Jags at home. And once again, Arizona played just well enough to break your heart and just bad enough to prove exactly why they're 3-8. Right? Another week, another missed opportunity, another chapter in the same damn story. Let's talk about it. Do you want to know what yesterday was? Yesterday was the perfect example of a team that has zero margin for error and still finds new ways to make those errors. Trevor Lawrence handed you 4 turnovers, Johnny. 4. Your defense gift wrap opportunities like it was Black Friday at the mall. It was great. A strip sack, scoop and score by rookie Walter Nolan. The kind of play that should tilt the whole game. And it was at the very beginning. Budda Baker, Garrett Williams both get picks. The Jags literally tried to give this game away multiple times. But the Cardinals said, no thank you, we're good. Right? Because every single time Jacksonville stumbled, Arizona didn't know how to step on their throat. Again, like a killer instinct we've had all season. We let Trevor Lawrence, who threw 3 terrible interceptions, right, bounce back like nothing happened. We let a Jaguars team with 4 turnovers win. Unacceptable, Jonathan Gannon. You guys know exactly who I think is should be held accountable for this. Let's talk Jacoby Brissett. The guy, he battled, right? He fought. He completed 33 for 49, 317 yards and a touchdown. He gave Michael Wilson another banger of a day in his NFL career, right? He looked like a legitimate wide receiver 1 with Marvin Harrison out with the still healing from the appendectomy. Brissett led 2 clutch drives, especially that 80-yard march with no timeouts to tie the game with 3 seconds left, and that was big boy football. But in overtime, 4th down, season slipping away, you needed a play. And that heat to Xavier Weaver, not even close. Let's be real. Brissett had a chance to be the hero. He didn't take it. He owned it afterwards, saying that he had to make a better throw. You do. Absolutely. Because the Cardinals didn't trust Ryland from 60. They went for it instead. They put the ball in Brissett's hands, and he didn't deliver. And that's the difference between winning and losing when you're a 3-8 football team. Okay? This Cardinals defense is confusing because they make individual plays, the fumble return for a touchdown, the interceptions, but collectively it was chaos, okay? Because for every big play, you got blown coverages, you got missed tackles, 0 pressure when it actually matters, and Trevor Lawrence looked like 2 different quarterbacks yesterday, okay? One that couldn't stop turning the ball over, which is the guy we like, and one that carved you up when the game was on the line. And that back end zone touchdown to Parker Washington was wide open. The OT drive, too easy. The third downs, way too many conversions we allowed. And once again, 6 sacks allowed by the offensive line on our Arizona side, while the defense generated almost no consistent disruption outside of splash moments, right? 3 sacks, some tackles for a loss, whatever. Consistent disruption outside of splash moments, then it's not gonna it's something we need. We need disruption to be consistent. I keep repeating myself, but we didn't have that. This isn't sustainable. It's not competitive football. This is a team that flashes brilliance but lives in disaster. A positive view, sure, yeah, okay, they exist, right? Michael Wilson's sensational. This is the guy the Cardinals have been waiting for. The fans have been waiting for. Tough catches, yards after the catch, separation, confidence. He bailed Brissett out multiple times. He moved the chains. He saved the game at the end of regulation. He did everything you want a number one receiver to do. And here's the crazy part. Imagine Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the field at the same time, both playing at their best. That is what I'm hoping is the future of this offense. That is the bright spot that I am hanging on to here. This offense could cook with the right quarterback and the right coaching, 100%. And now we address the elephant in the room because Jonathan Gannon and game manager. Because look, I don't want excuses to hear the excuse train again. I don't want to hear about injuries. I don't want to hear about the process this and the process that. Okay. So let's talk Johnny Gannon here. Well, no, let's talk about this game first, right? Because we're going to talk about Jonathan Gannon here in a minute. Okay. Where does this leave the Cardinals? 3-8, 8 losses in the last 9, a franchise searching for direction, a coach searching for his footing, and a team that still hasn't figured out how to win close games. The talent's there, clearly. The flashes are there. Execution's not there. Not even close. And until that changes, losses are not going to go anywhere. So comment down below. How do you feel about this game and the team's effort? Because I got to say, it's one of those things where I'm just like, what were we doing? Right? Jonathan Gannon's coaching performance, and I'm using air quotes, I know. In this Week 12 game, this overtime loss to the Jags, if you thought this season for us couldn't get more baffling, this was like a hold my beer game, okay? Look, I don't know what Gannon was thinking he was going to accomplish yesterday, but if the plan was let Trevor Lawrence stay comfortable, let our defense bend until it shatters, and let Jacoby Brissett throw 49 times behind a patchwork O-line, then hey, nice job, Johnny. Mission accomplished. You did your thing. Because the game plan felt like it was written on the flight back from, I'm just on a drive to the stadium in Sharpie on a napkin. Okay, Lawrence hands you 4 turnovers, Johnny. And what did you do with that? Nothing. Not one momentum swing. Not one aggressive adjustment. Not one moment where you go, yeah, it's the head coach taking control. Nope, just vibes. Nah, just chilling. Let's talk about game management. Because Gannon managed this game like someone who's never seen an NFL 2-minute drill in his life. Late in the fourth quarter, you got Jacksonville sweating. Trevor Lawrence is melting down. You're still in striking distance. And somehow you turn a situation that should have been an opportunity into another chapter of the same story we've seen 8 times in the last 9 weeks. There was no urgency. There was no tempo, no situational awareness, and then overtime hits. 4th and long, season on the line. And I get it. Chad Ryland missed a kick early in the game, right? But you had mismanaged the game so much, there was no thought of exactly having a real plan of how to handle overtime, right? Instead, you said YOLO and gave Brissett the play. Unfortunately for you, Johnny, Gannon missed 2 guys on check down and Michael Wilson wide open. Bombed it to Xavier Weaver, who had no chance to catch it, right? I mean, what are we doing, right? On Gannon's part, what he pulled yesterday was not aggression. There was no analytics. There was no culture whatsoever. He's just guessing at this point. I think he's checked out, personally. This is the part that drives me insane, though, because he's a defensive coach. That's his identity. This is what we got him. That's supposed to be the one thing he's actually good at. And yet, the defense leaks everywhere. You let Trevor Lawrence, who had 3 turnovers in like 12 minutes, regain confidence and literally beat you with the same concepts all game long. The crossers, the quick hit timing routes, the creeping the tight ends up the seam, laid down the quarterback escape plays. Where was the adjustment, Johnny? Where was the pressure? Where was the spies? Where was anything? You get 6 sacks from your defensive front, you give up 6 sacks, right? You get 3. And you somehow, 3 sacks and 4 turnovers, 3 turnovers, whatever it was. 4 turnovers, I think. And somehow you still can't close the game? That tells me everything I need to know. The front 7 plays hard, but the structure behind them is chaos. And that's on coaching. I mean, obviously. Right? So here comes the worst part. The discipline was terrible. 17 penalties last week. more coverage busts this week, mental mistakes everywhere, guys lined up wrong, confusion on substitutions, timeouts burned for no reason. No, not one. I still haven't been to a game where this sorry, I was going to say this asshole, but this idiot doesn't throw a friggin' challenge. Challenge something, Jonathan. Jesus. Not like you're using the timeouts correctly anyway. This isn't talent. This is not injuries. This is not culture, guys. This is I don't know what this is. What do you think this is? Right? Because if this is year 3 of this 3-year plan, then Cardinals fans need to start asking the same question that nobody wants to ask. Has Jonathan Gannon built a damn thing worth keeping? Because right now it looks like this team just regresses inside the final 5 minutes of every single Colts game. Again, that is on him, the coaching. End of the day, the game wasn't lost because of Trevor Lawrence's 3 touchdowns. It wasn't lost because Jacoby couldn't play here on 4th down. It wasn't lost because Michael Wilson did everything humanly possible to carry the offense, because he freaking did. This game was lost because the Cardinals were unprepared, undisciplined, and outcoached. Liam Cohen, second-year head coach? Whatever. He's the weirdo that couldn't say Duval correctly, and he got clowned for it. Kind of reminded me of I think Brian Kelly going from Notre Dame or wherever he was to LSU, and then making up like a twang accent, which is hilarious. Remind me of that. But they beat us in every big moment yesterday. And that's why fans are fed up, right? You can draft whoever you want next year. You can ship Kyler out if you want to, or you can keep him. You can reshuffle the roster all offseason. But if Jonathan Gannon stays, keeps coaching like this, none of it matters. Because this team doesn't just lose games. We find new and creative ways to collapse in the most important moments. And that starts at the top, at Jonathan Gannon's door in his office in Tempe. Plain and simple, guys. Let me know below. You think we'll end up moving on from Gannon and his staff, or are we going to keep this guy, and we're going to be stuck in this situation for at least one more season? Because at this point, the way I see it, I got to tell y'all, the more I think about it, the more I think Kyler's not as much of a problem as everyone thinks he is. I think he's been a problem for so long that now he looks even worse. I don't think it's on him completely. Some of it is for sure. But I don't think everything is on him. I think you got to look at Jonathan Gannon and absolutely Drew Petzing and Michael Bidwell and Monty. Everyone's got to be held accountable at this point. Whether or not it's going to happen, we'll see. We'll see. Season's almost over. This was my last home game. I'm gonna put together a short video thing from some shots that I got, some video that I got yesterday at the game. Put it together for you guys for tomorrow. It was my last home game for this season. I have a couple trips coming up that I'm gonna miss the last 2 games of the year, unfortunately. So that's the thing about having season tickets. You kind of have all your weekends taken, but then holidays show up, so it is what it is. All right. Tomorrow I'll have that video for you guys. More on this game tomorrow and more than likely Wednesday. We'll start talking about the Buccaneers on Wednesday. If you guys watched Sunday Night Football, they did lose Baker Mayfield. No word just yet as to how long, but we might be playing Bridgewater instead, so not a terrible thing, of course. All right, that's gonna do it for this episode of Cardinals Daily. I'm Eddie Law. If you don't, wow, do not forget to hit that sub. I feel like Jonathan Gannon right now. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. Anyway. Don't forget to hit that sub, please. Hit the bell. Hit the like. Leave a comment. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Invite your friends over. Let's talk about Cardinals football together. Just a few more games, and then we're in the fun part of the offseason, which is the offseason. Talk about draft, free agency, and the future. Because right now, the present looks quite terrible. Let's be real. All right, guys. Bird Gang. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful Monday. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. Enjoy the weather in Phoenix if you're in the Valley. Go Cardinals.